Welcome back to the segment where we're going to focus on some of the skills that will help you have those conversations that matter now. We introduced you to the framework of fuel as the way that we're going to have these conversations and give you a track to run on, if you will. And so our acronym of fuel begins with framing the conversation. So let's take a look at each of these for a moment, just to give you some tips on how to use these well in conversation. When we're framing the conversation, we want to specifically state what we're here to focus about, what we hope our end outcomes will be, and to even agree on a process for the conversation. Now, you'll notice on your conversation guides that there will be 2 or 3 statements in the framing section. And these are designed to say all in a row. So I'm looking at a conversation guide on moving forward. And so we can see, let's discuss our current situation and our plans to move forward in this new environment. I'd like to talk about how you're doing and begin to create a shared understanding of what will happen next. Is there anything else you want to focus on in this conversation? And so you can see that these statements are guides for you. You may tailor these. You might say there's something very specific that you're curious about or want to make sure that you focus on in the conversation. As a leader, you can frame the conversation by making these statements and really guiding what you see the purpose being or what you see the outcomes being. You might have an employee come to you and say, gosh, I really am curious about what our new plans are and how we're going to incorporate these new process changes, or how we're going to incorporate, work from home schedule as part of what we're moving into. And so your employee may be the one initiating the conversation, in which case you change these into questions. What is the most important thing for us to focus on? What would you like to make sure we accomplish by the end of this conversation? How can I best help with this? What do you want to make sure we focus on right now? And so you can ask questions, especially if your employee initiates the conversation. Otherwise, you can be the one to initiate the conversation. The power of framing the conversation is that both of you are really clear on what you're focusing on, so that you have that shared objective in mind before you move forward.